It was a match that spanned generations and forever ushered in a new era in the history of golf. Yet it was only seen one time. In 1963, on the Monterey Peninsula at famed Pebble Beach golf links, an historic duel between the legendary Sam Snead, winner of PGA Tour record 82 times, and Jack Nicklaus, only 23 years of age and fresh off his rookie season on tour, in which he won the U.S. Open.
Jack willed the ball in the hole. I've never seen anybody putt under pressure like he did.
This is one of the greatest golf matches you have ever seen.
I always enjoyed playing with him. I always ended up copying Sam's rhythm. I thought Sam was just a marvelous player.
They came together for Shell's Wonderful World of Golf and played one of its most memorable matches. Digitally remastered to high definition, it hasn't been seen in over 45 years until now, including the personal memories of the legend himself, Jack Nicklaus.
And Sam sort of shakes his head at that. He says, I can't believe he just made that shot against me.
CBS Sports, in association with the PGA Tour, present Nicklaus versus Snead Revisited. This is how the greatest moments in golf history were first captured, on film in stark black and white. When Shell's Wonderful World of Golf brought the game to national television in full color, the characters on tour and the beauty of the courses were presented and appreciated like never before.
Shell's show was first class. We had 7 cameras, shooting in color, best players of the time. But the other part of it was, all of a sudden you realize, hey, there's golf around the world. Geez, they play golf in Singapore, they play golf in Greece, and it also had some innovative techniques. I think we were the first ones to film in slow motion.
With its high production value and unprecedented access to the players during and after the competition, the series had a successful 9-year run. In 1963, the show landed a dream matchup between the legendary Sam Snead and golf's brightest rising star, Jack Nicklaus. 46 years removed from the duel, Nicklaus reminisced about that match at Pebble Beach.
It's pretty plain, isn't it? To have a match with Sam, and I was a little nervous about, and the opportunity to play him was special to me.
The Pebble Beach Golf Links, Pebble Beach, California. A seaside course unexcelled in beauty, design, and unpredictable weather on the famous Monterey Peninsula. A match over 18 holes between Sam Snead, winner of the British Open Championship, the Masters, the PGA, Ryder Cup player over 2 decades and frequent Canada Cup representative, and Jack Nicklaus, winner of the United States Open and Amateur Championships, the first golfer since Bobby Jones to hold these 2 titles concurrently. To take you through the match shot by shot, the legendary Gene Sarazen, winner of every major title in golf. I'm George Rogers on the scene here at Pebble Beach, and this is Shell's Wonderful World of Golf, a series of international matches played on the world's most famous golf courses. This week, the Pebble Beach Golf Links, Pebble Beach, California.
Well, Gene, with as much golf as you've played and as many courses as you've seen, I'm kind of anxious to hear how you rate Pebble Beach.
Well, George, you know, I've traveled all over the world, and I think this is the finest seaside course I've ever seen. It's tops with me, and I've been coming here since 1923.
1923 would be before Jack Nicklaus was even born, right?
That's right.
Boy, he has got a powerful-looking swing.
Well, you know, Jack is probably the longest and straightest hitter on the tour today. He has a very wide arc, and at the top of the swing, he has his hands way up. But the one thing that you want to notice, that when he comes down, his right elbow is very close to his body, and he keeps his head still throughout the swing.
Well, Gene, as you know, when he won the U.S. Amateur here at Pebble in 1961, he was 20 strokes under par for 138 holes.
Well, that's great golf on any golf course.
Speaking of great golf and great golfers, that Sam Snead has got just a classic swing, isn't it?
Yes, you know, that's the original one-piece swing.
It sure is. His hands seem to be in the same relative position at the top of the swing as they were at address. There's no rolling of the wrists at all.
Our players are competing for a total of $5,000 in prize money. $3,000 to the winner and $2,000 to the loser, $2,500 each in the event of a tie. And now our players are coming onto the tee with Gene Sarazen, that's Sam Snead, of course, in the traditional coconut straw, Jack Nicklaus in the white cap with the blue visor. The first hole, a par 4 of 384 yards, puts the golfer on the defensive from the word go. Jutting pine trees on the right, which turn the hole into a dog leg, and traps on the left narrow the path for your drive to minimum proportions. The tiny shelf green slopes from back to front and falls away sharply on the right to a deep trap.
This is a wonderful starting hole. Calls for a perfect tee shot. Jack Nicklaus has decided to take a 3-wood, play it safe.
In other words, the way he hits it, Gene, he might drive it right through the end of the fairway at the dog leg.
That's right.
Well, Nicklaus lined himself up to cut the ball, faded from left to right a little bit. He starts his way out toward the left. It is coming down now and hitting right in the fairway, and he has opened up the green with a perfect opening tee shot. Ooh, he has hit a little fading shot very close to that corner, and I believe he hit one tree and maybe stymied. Boy, he hit a very nervy shot here on the first tee.
Sam Snead's tee shot was a little too close to the corner, and it kicked off into the rough. Boy, he's got an impossible second shot to that green.
Well, his ball is down in the hole. He's stymied by a tree, and I think Genie's just going to try to take his wedge and knock it out in the fairway. Sam took it out of there and just missed the trap on the other side of the fairway and put it 3 or 4 feet into the short rough, and he'll have a little hanging lie over there.
Yeah, playing him out of the rough grass isn't so easy here. Jack Nicklaus, after a beautiful 3-wood, well-placed, is using an 8-iron for his second shot. There's a little wind coming from left to right, and he has to be careful of a slider here.
Jack took plenty of time getting set over the shot, pushed it out to the left, and now he is fading it back in, hits the front of the green, but takes a bad bounce back to the left and rolls up about pin high. A very fine approach by Jack Nicklaus here on the first hole.
Sam Snead tried to play his second shot safe into the fairway, and the ball kicked into the rough grass. He's got a very good lie. He's going to play a wedge, but a very ticklish shot. He has to keep that ball below the branches.
Ooh, he almost ticked those branches, but is hitting it up toward the pin, and he goes past the pin toward the back of the green, but a fine recovery shot. He'll have a chance to save his par.
Jack Nicklaus has about a 17-foot putt. It's got a slight break left to right, but the greens look beautiful this morning.
Well, it looked as though he had that putt all the way. It just slid by on the left. He went past the cup about a foot. And Nicklaus now taps it in for a par 4 here on the first hole at Pebble Beach.
Snead has about a 12-foot putt, and it's absolutely straight for the hole. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if he holed this one.
It is going to stay out to the right by about 2 or 3 inches, and Sam took another look. He said the grain goes one way and the ball went the other. And Snead taps in for a bogey 5 here on the first hole at Pebble Beach, and Jack Nicklaus with a par leads Snead by 1 stroke.
His career is unmatched in the history of golf. He is simply the game's greatest champion. And for Jack Nicklaus, that career has had a special link to Pebble Beach. His list of accomplishments at Pebble, in a word, stunning.
Pebble Beach has been part of my life.
What a shot.
I won an amateur there. I won several Crosbys there. I won a U.S. Open there. I won a couple of shell matches there. I've had a love affair with Pebble Beach. If I had one round of golf I was going to play, and I wanted to go play it, I'd go to Pebble Beach.
The second hole, a par 5 of 497 yards, can be reached with 2 good shots. Beyond the cross bunkers, the fairway is wide open to receive the tee shot. The road on the right does not constitute an out-of-bounds limit. The fairway narrows 50 yards in front of the green as pine trees close in on a deep sandy ravine. The green, framed with pine trees, is trapped on either side and slopes from left to right.
Jack Nicklaus has the honor. This is a par 5 hole, but there's a breeze in back of him, and with these two long hitters, I don't think it's going to be too long for them to get home in 2.
Well, Nicklaus again set himself up with a slightly open stance to fade, but instead of fading, he has pulled the ball just a little bit over toward the left center of the fairway. Those traps are better than 200 yards. He must have hit it almost 300. Ooh, and Snead has cut the ball and has hit a big left to right shot that will be over near the road. We're blind from here, but I wonder if he stopped in that rough. We'll have to wait and see. Gene Sam Snead sliced his tee shot over the road to the right into the practice fairway.
Oh, yes. You know, I don't think Sam realized there was such a strong cross breeze there because his ball just kept drifting and drifting and drifting. He has a tough shot here. He can get into a lot of trouble if he's not careful.
Both trees are in his line. I wonder if he'll play it safe or try to hit it all the way to the green. Well, he has hit it high and pulled it over the trees, and it looks as though he's heading for the ravine. Yeah, he's in the sand. Well, Nicklaus has hit a good, solid 3-iron shot, a right-to-left shot, which is too far to the left, and carries into the bunker on the fly on the left-hand side of the green. That's kind of appropriate.
Well, the Slammer's played 2 holes, and he hasn't seen the fairway. He's got himself in a bad spot here. He's about 150 feet from the hole, and he can't even see the top of the pin. He's got his wedge, and he'll play it clean.
Gene, from the track that ball made, he only just failed to carry that bunker. Sam picked it clean, but he caught the bank coming out and just carries it onto the fairway, and he'll stop about 40 or 50 feet short of the front edge of the green. He just caught the top of that hill coming out.
Sam's about 80 feet from the hole, and he's going to play a low wedge shot and try to run it in there.
That's exactly the kind of shot that he hit, and he is rolling that up. Look out! Brother, what a whale of a golf shot. He threw it 6 or 7 inches from the pin for a cinch 5.
Jack Nicklaus has an explosion shot. He has a good lie, but the hole is pretty close to the edge. He's going to explode this one.
Be a very difficult shot to put close to the green, runs away from him. No, he's hit it much too strongly past the pin, and it stays on the extreme back right side of the green just by a matter of inches. He must have hit it 40 or 45 feet past the pin.
Jack Nicklaus's explosion shot left himself 39 feet from the hole. He has a perfectly straight putt.
He started it up on the right-hand side. It is breaking down toward the hole and stops about a foot away, and if he had been firmer, the putt might have held its line and gone right on the hole. He was just a little light with it.
He's going to tap it in for his 5.
Par 5 for Jack Nicklaus here on the second hole at Pebble Beach, and he remains even par through 2 holes.
Snead has about a foot putt there for his 5-2.
Par 5 for Sam Snead, and he remains 1 over par after 2 holes and trails Nicklaus by 1 stroke.
Jack Nicklaus dropped a shot at the par 4 third, and both made pars at the 4th. So he moved to the 5th hole with the match all square.
This is the old 5th hole that was up between the trees. There was no real ability to move a gallery through there. It was a blind par 3. It was probably the one really weak hole on the golf course.
For 80 years, the par 3 5th at Pebble Beach was a quirky blemish on Pebble's otherwise pristine landscape. But in 1995, the Pebble Beach Company acquired the missing link of oceanfront land and started plans for a new and improved 5th hole. And who did they call to design a hole befitting the rest of the course? None other than Jack Nicklaus.
To have the opportunity to take your favorite golf course and put a hole on it on the ocean, a spectacular view. I just try to follow the feeling of Pebble Beach and try to make it fit with the rest of the golf course. It was a big compliment to be asked to do that.
The Slammer selected his 4-iron. He hit it dead on target, but it failed to hold, and it finished in light rough at the back of the green.
Nicklaus, with his tremendous power, went to his 6-iron. But it was not quite enough club. It landed just over the first right-hand trap and caught in the frog here. Snead, with a delicate downhill chip, took his pitching wedge. His well-judged shot, headed for the hole, lipped the cup an angle left. Nicklaus, with a bad lie, chose his 8-iron. He didn't give it quite enough and finished 4 feet short. After Snead had holed his 5-footer, the pressure was on Nicklaus. But he holed out for his par 3 to keep the match all square. Both players won over par. The par 5 sixth, 515 yards long, strikes out along the cliff top. On this dogleg to the right, the fairway swerves up and around a steep-sided inlet, leaving a blind second shot. The green is a comfortable distance from the cliff edge, and traps on either side are of more immediate concern. With his classic swing, he sent the ball 270 yards down the right center. Nicklaus, a hitter as opposed to a swinger, put every ounce of his hefty frame into his drive, and he belted the ball 285 yards down the left center. To reach this treacherous par 5 in 2 necessitates a long carry over the inlet after carrying up and over the high fairway sweep. Snead, reckoned one of the finest long iron players in the country, took his 1-iron. He played an almost perfect shot over the crest of the hill, finishing 15 yards short of the green. Nicklaus's choice on his second shot was a 2-iron. He had the right distance, but he rolled slightly on the shot and pulled his ball wide of the left-hand greenside trap. He was left with a very tricky pitch with his sand wedge. A trifle too far right, finishing 7 feet from the cup. Anxious for a birdie, Snead selected his 9-iron. And he nosed it up 5 feet from the hole. Nicklaus was away. And he rolled in his 7-footer for a birdie 4, putting the pressure right on Snead. But Sam, too, got his birdie, so after 6 holes, both players were even par, the match all even. The famous 110-yard par 3 7th must be one of the most photographed holes in golf.
7th hole, I always thought, was one of the great holes in the game of golf. Sam probably hit a 9-iron, I hit a pitching wedge, and there really wasn't a lot of wind this day. I've played that hole from anywhere from a sand wedge to a 4-iron. So, you know, it depends on what the conditions are. That's the way the hole played. It's just one of the most phenomenal little short par 3s in the game.
I dare say you would never see us so quiet as this if you hung around here for months. Here's Snead playing a 9-iron.
It's a lovely 9-iron that will carry on the green, dead in line with the pin, almost hit the pin and backed up 3 feet from the hole. What a gorgeous golf shot.
A hole that's up in the air with a tee and the ball just goes off into space and then drops was a difficult hole to play because you really didn't have a whole lot of control over the ball after it started falling.
Snead seems to be putting the pressure on now. What do you think?
He is just about as beautiful an iron player, Gene, as I have ever seen.
Jack is using a wedge.
Nicklaus has hit a very high floating shot, which will also carry in left of the stick, hits the fringe, takes one big bounce, goes right in the trap, and a small private plane zoomed right over us there as somebody tried to get a real close look at the action at Pebble Beach.
Sam's got about a 3.5-foot putt. He's going to mark it. Jack Nicklaus hook shot into the trap there. He's got a very difficult bunker shot. He's got a downhill lie and the ball is buried. As Sam Snead said, he either is dead or else 15 feet past the hole.
Well, if he carries it over this green, he's got 2 bunkers and the ocean on the other side. He's got to make that swing very abrupt to the bank is right back of him.
Yeah, watch him take his club up very upright.
He cuffed it out of there, and boy, there is a fine golf shot from that lie. He put it about 4.5 feet from the pin. Beautiful shot.
Yeah, beautiful.
But, Gene, as they say, Jack Nicklaus did not lose his turn.
No, he's about 5 feet from the hole, slightly uphill. He has to hold this, otherwise he'll give Snead an opportunity to catch him 2 shots.
Boy, there's a good 3. There is a real good 3 on this 7th hole, and Nicklaus remains even par through 7 holes at Pebble Beach.
Snead has about a 3.5-foot putt. This putt is not as easy now as it was before.
Birdie 2 for Sam Snead. He goes to 1 under par and leads in the match for the first time.
By the time Sam Snead met Jack Nicklaus at Pebble Beach Golf Links for their match in 1963, the 51-year-old had already earned all but one of his PGA Tour record 82 career victories. His stature in the game was legendary, and his reputation iconic. A folksy Virginian with a fondness for straw hats and one of the most fluid swings ever to grace a golf course.
The swing was so wonderful. And the distance. Sam took the club inside. This way Bobby Jones swung. And a lot of guys did and still do. That's one of the reasons why he was so long. Because basically he was a pull hitter, like in baseball. Pull hitters are guys who hit home runs. And he came down the line and he killed it.
Sam's towering drives earned him the nickname the Slammer, but it was his penchant for winning that shaped his record-setting Hall of Fame career. No player has won more events in a single season since he took 11 titles in 1950. His final tour win at the 1965 Greater Greensboro Open gave him a record 8th victory in a single event and made Sam Snead the oldest champion in tour history at the age of 52.
He was a marvelous golfer. And a lot of players, contemporaries, would say, well, he's just a natural, he doesn't know what he's doing, he just does it. But Sam is a gifted athlete, but he knew what he was up to.
The 8th hole, an awesome par 4 of 425 yards, is the finest hole on the course, according to Bobby Jones. From the low-lying shoreline tee, the drive is blind to a broad plateau. Long hitters have to play a fairway wood or an iron here because the fairway comes to an abrupt stop as a gaping inlet gnaws its way into the precipitous coastline. The hole swings right across this fearsome hazard to a narrow tilting fairway and a tiny green tightly trapped.
The green sort of sets up for a left to right shot into it. It's always been my favorite shot in the game of golf. I always thought it set up beautifully, and Sam here hits it probably a little bit heavy, hits a little left. If you look at those fairways are just natural grass. They're just little daisies growing in the fairways, and the fairways are long. It's just the conditions we played.
This is one of the most spectacular second shots I've seen in all my life.
I've left myself here with about a 3-iron shot. I must have left myself probably right around 200 yards to the hole. I normally would cut it in there. I don't know why. I looked like I played a slight draw, which probably won't hold on the green.
Nicklaus has hit his shot right dead on the pin, and he hits it through the back of the green.
That chip shot would be impossible today. In those days, you could play it because the greens weren't so fast.
Sam Snead left his second shot about 90 feet short of the pin. He has a 9-iron in his hand, and he's going to pitch and run this one. Not an easy shot, George.
And he's got a little side hill lie there, too, with the ball below his feet.
He's hit it left of the pin, hoping it will come in, and it does run in toward the pin, and he's put it 3 feet away. Boy, he is a master of that shot.
Jack Nicklaus was going to use his putter, but he found that frog hair grass there's a little too thick, so he's going to concentrate on a 9-iron, and he has to get this just right, or she'll skid right past that hole.
He opened that face up to put a little check on the ball, and he really missed that hole on the right, and it ran way past. The green is just greased lightly. He must be 7 or 8 feet by the hole.
George, that's the most irritating thing in golf. When a man plays 2 shots such as Nicklaus has, and then now he has about a 7 or 8 footer for a 4, and Snead was way short of the green, and he's inside of him.
Just slid by the hole on the right-hand side. He punched that putt up there, and it looked as though he would perhaps knock it in and save his 4, but Jack Nicklaus bogeys the 8th hole now to slide 1 stroke over par.
These are the putts that are hard for a man Snead's age.
Rolled it right in, boy. He didn't fool around with that. A par 4 here on the 8th hole for Sam Snead. He remains 1 under par.
The 425-yard par 4 ninth continues out along the cliff top with a fairway which slopes toward the sea. The hole was highlighted by Snead's superb second shot. Cut up from a hanging lie with a 5-iron, the ball finished 14 feet from the pin. Nicklaus, on and two and down and two, was faced with the possibility of losing another stroke to Snead as Sam lined up this 14-footer. And he rolled it in for his 3rd birdie in 4 holes.
But Gene, that's a pretty exciting finish to the front 9. What were your overall impressions?
Well, I saw some beautiful driving, wonderful iron shots. Snead had played some great iron shots, and so has Nicklaus. But the most of all, the scoring came on the greens.
Well, that is true. Sammy Snead had 6 one-putt greens on the front side, and that is just amazing. So now we have Sam Snead 2 under par and Jack Nicklaus 1 over par at the turn, Snead leading by 3 strokes on Shell's Wonderful World of Golf.
The par 4 10th, the 421 yards, is the last of the cliff top holes. The line of the drive carries over an inlet, and the more you bite off with your tee shot, the shorter your approach to the green. The green itself, which is trapped in front, contours the cliff edge on the right and is ringed by a collar of sand at the back. A southerly wind started to freshen, blowing in the fog as Snead teed up on the cliff edge. He duck-hooked his drive and barely made the long carry over the inlet. His ball finished 245 yards down the left center. Nicklaus, 3 strokes back, looked grim as he prepared to hit. He really let out on the shot, and he sent it 290 yards down the dead center of the fairway. Outdriven by 45 yards, Snead took a 6-iron for his second. He played a 3/4 shot, which stopped pin high on the left apron, 33 feet from the hole. Nicklaus found a side hill lie for his wedge shot. He hit it high, and the wind drifted it over to the right front edge of the green, 47 feet from the pin. Nicklaus was away. He failed to give it enough and left it 3 feet short. Snead selected his putter. Putting downhill, he overshot the hole by 2.5 feet. Sam decided to hole out. But his magic touch deserted him, and he had to be content with a bogey 5. With his first chance to pick up a stroke, Nicklaus rolled in his 3-footer for his par 4, reducing the deficit to 2 strokes. The par 4 11th hole, turning inland from the sea, doglegs right to a tightly trapped green. Snead, catching a right-hand trap with his 8-iron second shot, played a masterful recovery to set up a 1-putt green and save his par. Nicklaus, 7 feet from the hole with a drive and a wedge, went 1 better with a birdie 3. With now only 1 stroke separating them, both players got their par 3s on the 185-yard 12th, so Snead retained his 1-stroke lead with 6 holes to go. On the par 4 13th, fanning out from pine trees, Nicklaus finished over the green with a drive and a 9-iron. Snead's drive and 7-iron left him 27 feet short of the pin. Nicklaus was away.
The pin was in the right side of the green, and I hit it long. The only time in 50 years that I've ever hit it long on this hole. Maybe this taught me a lesson. My caddy, Didi Gonzalez there, and he says, "One place, Jack, don't ever hit it. It's the right and over of 13. Well, I hit it right and over 13. And you really have no shot whatsoever. And I elected to take like a little 7-iron here and bounce it into the bank. And you just have to be lucky to get the right bounce.
Well, he bumped it in, trickled it up and down, and look out. Look, out. I tell you, around and on the greens, this boy is a magician.
And Sam sort of shakes his head at that. He says, I can't believe he just made that shot against me.
Well, he missed holding it by a couple of inches, and Jack Nicklaus will tap this in for a par 4, and you'll never see a greater 4 than that in golf. That was a 4. Nicklaus remains even par now through 13 holes.
Sam has a little side hiller there. I would say it's about a 28, 30-footer. Oh.
It just fell off at the last minute, but he laid that putt dead, and Sam will also tap in here for a par 4.
You see Sam shake his head when Nicklaus made that shot?
Well, you can't blame him. Sam Snead 1 under through 13 holes.
The 555-yard par 5 14th hole doglegs sharply to the right and lined by trees and out of bounds on the right, sweeps round to a relatively small green which is protected in front by a huge, deep trap. Both players scrambled their par 5s when each hit the trees with his second shot, so Snead, 1 under, retained his slender one-stroke lead over Nicklaus, even par. On the 15th, the par 4 of 406 yards, which doglegs sharply to the left beyond the trees, Nicklaus resorted to conservative tactics. He hit a 1-iron, 235 yards to the right side, eventually followed by an easy 7-iron approach and 2 putts for his par. Snead, gambling all the way, boomed a 280-yard drive to the light rough. His 9-iron approach ran through the green, and when he took 3 to get down, it cost him a bogey 5 and his one-stroke lead. Both players now even par. The 16th hole, a par 4 of 400 yards, is the first of Pebble Beach's great finishing holes. Most of the trouble off the tee is on the right, the shortest route to the hole. The oval-shaped green is isolated by a sandy ravine 20 yards in front, an extension of which forms a regulation greenside trap. The green is hemmed in by dense trees on the left. Nicklaus hit a huge drive into the wind, 265 yards down the right. Snead pulled his drive 240 yards to the left.
Well, we got some California dew coming now, George.
Yeah, the rain started very suddenly, and that's one of the great things about Pebble Beach. You can go out in beautiful sunshine, and the first thing you know, the rain rolls right in off the Pacific.
Here's Sam Snead taking a 5-iron.
Snead has hit his shot to the right, and it misses the green on the right and kicks down in the sand bunker and just narrowly missed some spectators. And he will have a tough explosion shot back to the green because some overhanging limbs will be right in his way.
Jack Nicklaus, this is one time where a long drive paid off. Boy, he's got an easy 9-iron shot to this flag. Slightly downhill, and he's going to stand a little ahead of the ball.
He wants to contact that ball on the downswing, right?
That's right. He doesn't want to get that ball to get away.
Well, Nicklaus has hit his ball right toward the green, right toward the pin on the right-hand side, and the brakes take on, and it just trickles off the rear right portion of the green past the pin as Nicklaus looks at it.
Snead pushed a bad second shot there, and he's got himself in a bad place. Boy, he's got an explosion shot, and there's a couple of low branches there that are apt to catch him.
Well, this could be one of the biggest shots of the match. He exploded it onto the green and just past the pin, and there's a beautiful shot. Beautiful golf shot.
Jack Nicklaus had his boy take that flag out. He's a foot off the green. A little light grass, but he's going to use his putter. A downhill putt.
He has tapped it down toward the hole, and look out. It died about 3 inches off to the left lip, and Jack looked a little discouraged. I think he thought he had that figured perfectly. Par 4 for Jack Nicklaus here at the 16th. He remains even par.
How do you like that? He was trying to hold that.
I think he was indeed, Gene.
Here's old Sam now. He's got about a 10-foot putt.
A real young fan in our gallery. A baby just cried out back in his ear. That for a par 4 at the 16th for Sam Snead, and he remains even par. But, Gene, I don't know how this match can get much more exciting unless somebody comes up with a hole-in-one on the 17th.
I'm telling you, I'm getting very excited myself.
16 holes completed now at Pebble Beach. Snead and Nicklaus still all even, both even par. On Shell's wonderful world of golf. The par 3 17th, 218 yards long, has the ocean both left and rear. The humpbacked green describes a figure 8 at a 45-degree angle to the line of play. And occasionally one has to pitch over a bunker or a mound from one part of the green to another.
Well, George, this hole has decided many a match and many a tournament. Jack Nicklaus is going to play it safe with a 1-iron. He's going to play the right side of the green and hopes that he hooks it into the hole. There's a strong wind blowing here.
Might mention the rain quit as quickly as it began, and now the sun has popped up. This is typical Monterey Peninsula weather. They say if you don't like it, hang around 5 minutes, it'll change. Well, he has started his 1-iron out to the right, but he turned over on it a little bit. It's hooking it back and out toward the traps on the left, and he carries it right to the edge of the trap. Did not actually get down in it, but he will be in sand and loose grass.
There's Sam Snead. He has a 1-iron in his hand. I can't imagine him following Nicklaus because Nicklaus is at least 50 yards short here.
Well, Snead also hits his 1-iron way out to the right, farther out to the right than Nicklaus hit as it is now hooking in, and he is going to bury in the trap short of the green. Neither player reached the 17th into the wind.
Jack Nicklaus has a very touchy little shot here, but he hasn't too bad a lie, but he has to catch the ball very clean to clear that trap. A lot of things can happen on this hole, George.
Well, I guess many things have happened in the past. As you mentioned, it's decided many a championship. This and the one that follows, that treacherous 18th along the sea. Oh, I think he's hit a honey. He's hit a good shot, carried it over the trap onto the green past the pin.
Oh, that's a great shot out of that lie. Snead's 1-iron landed in the trap and practically buried itself. He has a very difficult explosion shot. There's about 30 feet between him and the edge of the green, and it looks as though he's going to play out sideways.
He turned around to the right and simply exploded the ball out onto the right-hand surface of the green, and he may even have to chip over that mound to get near the pin.
Sam is on the green here, and he's going to pitch this ball over the other bunker.
Well, he pitched it beautifully, carried it over, running it down toward the pin.
And he played a great little pitch over the top of the bunker there.
Gene, this is one of the greatest golf matches you have ever seen. There's another shot you cannot believe. Sam Snead chipped that thing 8 inches from the hole, and he was at least 65 or 70 feet away. And that's a cinch 4 for Snead here on 17.
I want to tell you the picture's changed again. Jack Nicklaus has a very tricky downhill putt. Well, let me tell you this. I think that shot of Snead shook him up a little.
Well, we'll have to see what happens. Snead now has bogeyed 17 and has 1 over par through 17 holes. So this putt could send Nicklaus to the 18th tee with a 1-stroke lead. Now, Sir Gene, I think you're right. The chip of Sam's might have upset him a little bit because he missed it on the low side of the hole. He taps in for a bogey 4, and we are still all tied up after 17 holes. The par 5 18th, a 540-yard dogleg around the ragged ocean edge, has been picked by many pros as the toughest finishing hole in the country.
The hole hasn't changed a whole lot. There's a tree down there on the left side, which no longer is there. It's fallen into the ocean. The cypress trees there in the center of the fairway have been replaced a half a dozen times. The bunker there has changed its configuration a little bit. The tree to the right of the green has been replaced. Now they lost that tree, but essentially the same hole.
Well, here we are on the 18th hole. They played 17, and they're all square. This is really a terrific match, and a gale of wind is blowing. The wind is coming from the left, so I don't imagine they're going to hug that coast much.
Well, Nicklaus has hit his straightaway down to the left of the trees and in perfect position. Just a little left to right fade.
Well, that Nicklaus hit a terrific tee shot there. Now Sam has got to play his shot on the safe side. Cannot take any chances here. He looks like he's going to draw from right to left.
He sure does, but the draw didn't come off. He cut across the ball a little bit, carried it into the tree. It took a big bounce back into the fairway. Well, he's not too badly off because it could have gone anywhere out of those trees.
Well, what do you know? Sam's going to take an iron and play it safe. Boy, there's a lot of pressure on this shot. I'm very anxious to see how he does it. You can play this too safe, you know, George.
If he hits it too far to the right, he could wind up back of those trees for sure. He has cut the ball left to right, and he may be back of those trees with no shot. We'll have to wait till we get down there to see.
What a terrific drive Nicklaus hit on this hole. You know, he's banking on this one shot to put it on the green. There's a strong left to right wind, and he's got to play it towards the water and let it drift in.
Looks like a one-iron again, Gene.
Yes, it is a one-iron.
Well, Nicklaus has hit that shot very high down straight toward the trap. It is fading a little bit from the left to the right and will carry into the trap on the fly. He buried it in the bunker in front of the 18th green.
Sam Snead's got himself a pretty tough shot here. He has to go just by that big pine tree to get to the green.
Well, he has punched a low shot up over the trees to the very, very back of the green, just off the green to the fringe, and he'll have a good chance to make 5 from there at least.
I always played that hole in those days to either just short of the bunker, let the ball go into the bunker, but I carried it in the bunker there, and you see how soft the sand was, the old beach sand. Look at how much I'm sunk into that sand. Now watch this from a buried lie. Watch what it does.
He has exploded it up, and that ball stopped almost dead on the green. He left it about 14, 15 feet away.
It stopped like it was sitting in in a perfect lie. Well, that green was soft. And a shot like that today would have been off to the back fringe.
Sam Snead's got about a 30-foot shot from the hole, but it's downhill, and his ball is lying very close. It's a very treacherous little shot. It can get away from him. He's playing a 9-iron.
Sam had a good short game. He was great around the greens. He played some beautiful little chip shots.
Sam is rolling it down toward the hole. Sam just tossed a 9-iron up in the air and caught it coming down. It hangs right on the lip.
And that little ball turned to the left, did not turn towards the ocean. But it's kind of surprising. They say he's pointing out to the ocean. The ball should have gone that way.
Gonna chip it in with his 9-iron.
There it is, par 5, 1 over par 73, and a very fine round of golf for Sam Snead. Well, Gene, it's come down to the last putt.
Yes. Here's a 15-foot putt, and it's a straight putt, and one that Mr. Nicklaus likes very much.
Well, this putt is worth just a cool $1,000 now. The difference between the winner's share of $3,000, the loser's share of $2,000.
I got $1,000 if I make this putt. This was a big putt in those days.
He'll stay over this putt a long time.
I stood over putts in eternity. People say you could have a sandwich in between the time I stepped over a putt a lot of times. But you know, I never hit a putt until I was ready to hit it. When I was ready to hit it, and when I felt like I could do what I wanted to do, then I went ahead and hit it. That's what I'm doing here. I'm looking at it, and I'm making up my mind and get everything the way I wanted it. I hit it, turned a little bit left, and into the hole.
34, even par 72, and Jack Nicklaus is the winner by 1 stroke.
I didn't hit that ball very hard, did I? I absolutely cracked it. Bounced all over the place. Right in the hole, though.
Jack, I want to congratulate you.
Thank you, Gene.
Really, it was wonderful golf. I got a great thrill out of it.
Thank you. Sam, I sure enjoyed playing with you. It was,
I enjoyed till that last putt, Jack.
Well, I want to thank you both again for wonderful golf, and I know our gallery enjoyed every minute of it. I sure enjoyed it.
It was a match for the ages. 2 different eras colliding in the golf heaven of Pebble Beach. The legendary Sam Snead Bowing out to the legend-to-be, Jack Nicklaus. 18 memorable holes at famed Pebble Beach, captured as many had never seen it before. It was and is a golfing treasure, a rare glimpse into the modern game's beginning.
Pebble was always Pebble. That's what I loved about it. It never really changed. It was always the same golf course, the same on the ocean. It was just a marvelous place. If I have one round of golf to go play, I think that's where I'd want to go.
I want to thank Jack and Sam for the really exciting golf today. Wasn't it a wonderful match? Be sure to be with us next week for another great international match on Shell's Wonderful World of Golf.